country, right? I think Bill Clinton deported almost 10 million immigrants while he was in office. Barack Obama did 5. This is in comparison to Trump's, 1.5 million in his first term, right? So why is immigration enforcement only allowed under Democrats, and when Republicans do it, it's a big issue, right? Also, in terms of paying for a lot of the services to the migrants, right? I don't think it's fair to, the city taxpayers to bear the burden of what's essentially the hemisphere's largest refugee camp, right? They come here, they get these services, and then after 2 months, they're essentially cut off. And then they go to Ohio, they go to Kentucky, they work at a meat packing plant. And how do we get repaid for the investment that we made, for their first arrival, right? And that's not happening as well. So that's why the current system is so unsustainable, because people are just leaving, right? And they're going elsewhere.
The sanctuary city story. Can we just get rid of that? Just that.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, right, if you're going to come, right, at the end of the day, we have laws against becoming a public charge, right? I believe it was even enacted by a Democrat. Whereas if you come here as an immigrant and you become a burden, right, on the taxpayer, that actually prevents you from getting a green card or getting even citizenship later on. Why is that not being enforced, right? We have laws on this stuff, right? This is not like up for debate. So we need to enforce the laws that we have on the books. We need to support, the enforcement of those laws, right? We can't pick and choose things here. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Heshi.
I don't like the transgender thing.
Oh, well, on the transgender side, I mean, why are we funding, transgender, changes in prisons?
Stuff like that. Stop. Yeah. You can do whatever you want. Nobody's.
Yeah, but why do we have to pay for it? Exactly. Right? And even in prisons too.
City Council has over $800 million in these programs. Okay. The transgender and the LGBTIQ and this stuff. It's got to be cut out right away. That's almost $1 billion that we can save. I have no problem that you're being gay. I have no problem that you want an abortion. But it shouldn't be on our name.
I agree, and they're even doing it in the prisons too. A lot of them, they'll go to prison, they'll have a sex change operation publicly funded, right? They'll, manage.
I want my daughter to be.
And then they'll go into a women's prison. A guy will be put into a women's prison, and they'll impregnate a bunch of women in there. I don't know if you've heard of that. I think they have in New Jersey as well, right? And they'll have a great time in prison. So we have to cut it out. We have to cut the lunacy out, right? And I agree with you.
Look into that, City Council.
Your opponent that you're running against, does she have a primary? And
she does.
Okay,
yes.
Good. And what did she get in the last election? Was there a Republican that ran against her, or was there?
There was a Republican that ran against her. I think she took about 66, about 70% of the vote.
Okay. And what is her chances in the primary? Is there someone that's running where they could beat her, or since she's so totally psychotic?
I mean, I don't want to tip the scale for any of the competitors on the other side, but she does have a very aggressive primary opponent. The opponent herself is only running for the Democratic line, right? So the incumbent could still end up on the working families line and have the
split seats.
Yeah, and kind of split the Democrats right now. Who's to know what happens there? But it does make it fairly competitive, right? If you have that situation where they're splitting the Democratic vote.
Right.
The other guy only won about 30%, but that'll be enough to kind of put you over the top, right? So.
Is the ranked choice voting in your election? Is that
well, I don't have a contest for this.
Oh, you don't even have a plan. You're not even going to be on the ballot. You're going straight to November.
I'm going straight to November. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Very good.
So I have a little more time.
And there's no ranked choice voting in November.
Okay, so that was just for primaries?
It's only primaries.
Yeah.
And I think that's a ridiculous thing, the ranked choice.
That's why Adams is not doing running because of that.
Well, it's hard to be accountable in that, right? It's like you roll it over to this person and that. Like, how do you track who gets these votes and how they're rolling over? And
it seems confusing.
Yeah, it is, and it's done purposefully, right? To confuse and obfuscate, So.
How are you doing with funding? I know it's hard for a candidate to start raising, especially in a district that's overwhelmingly Democrat, but that shouldn't be a detraction of running, because at the end of the
No,
day,
we're asking if you qualify. Do you
Yeah, did
qualify
you-
for matching funds?
We're still like maybe like 10 or 15 people away from that. I mean, I have
Matching funds?
from the matching funds, yeah, I have the dollar amounts, but we just haven't gone to in-district. So
75 people, that's all you need.
it's
yeah,
hard,
it's-
like trying to drag people.
to be surprised, right? It's, you know, you have support outside of the district, right?
Right.
But getting those numbers in have been a little more challenging.
What's
but
the
we're-
deadline for that for you?
Well, we don't, because I don't have a contest, so I don't even get any money until July.
Okay, so you have up to basically July to get those 10 more people?
Yes.
All right, hopefully with exposure that you're running, and we'll get you, you know, throughout the internet that you're running, and that,
Yeah.
please, if you live in, what's the neighborhood you're running in?
So it's Red Hook, Sunset Park, and then it kind of shoots up on 65th Street up into Diker. So essentially, if you think, do you guys know the area well?
Yeah.
Or so essentially where the BQE kind of
Right.
kind of circles around 65th Street. So that's the delimiter there, 65th to about 81st Street, and then up into Diker, up to like maybe 20th Avenue, and then like a little boss in Bath Beach. So it's actually a very gerrymandered district. They did it to screw over the Republican in Bay Ridge, right? And essentially, so essentially that's why you see Bay Ridge now lumped in with Coney Island, when it was traditionally lumped in with Diker. It was a very solid, very solid Republican district. But essentially they allowed, by lumping in Coney Island, they kind of lumped it in with a big Democratic base, and it made it much more competitive for the Democrats to win that seat as well.
Of course, that's the way of the city. The city is, like, we need people to come out and vote, and because a lot of people are just jaded. They're like, oh, Democrats and Republicans, they're all the same. No, they're not. Oh, what are you kidding me? The Democrat Party is nowhere near any, look, I'm not saying the Republican Party is perfect, but gee, we have two choices in life here when it comes to getting major elections and to get someone to run and win. And that's Democrat and Republican. And the Democrat Party is left of Stalin. So people have to wake up and stop voting for these people. I don't care if your grandparents were a Democrat. Who the hell cares if they voted for FDR back in the day? Wake up. Do you like congestion pricing? Do you like not able to drive your car? I mean, anyone who owns a car, who votes for a Democrat, needs to have their head examined, because it's only going to get far worse in the next year or two when the new garbage trucks come, and every apartment building that has is going to have a big garbage bin in the street. I don't know if people realize this. There's going to be big, this is their plan right now, unless something changes, to have big bins in the street where you park your car. So that means anything in front of an apartment building, goodbye to those parking spots. You think it's hard now to find parking? Wait when that happens. And people say, well, how did that happen? Well, because you voted Democrat, or you didn't vote at all. And if you didn't vote at all, you voted for that. And people get
wait until you start seeing the new charging stations they're going to put up everywhere now.
Oh God, what do you mean? Where?
Well, so people need a place to charge their electric cars.
Yeah.
Right? So
Oh, no.
that's also going to start coming out, right? Where they're going to have designated parking spots for these electric cars to be charged, right? And they're also going to take up spots on the street too. So there's more coming on that.
Oh,
too.
so they're going to tell the city bikes to move? Of course not.
Oh, no,
I know.
So they're going to city
Never.
bikes, and they're going to have separate spots for the,
Maybe they'll put it in
have
front
separate
of-
spots for zip cars too.
Oh,
I don't know if
nice.
you've seen those, right? So they have dedicated spots for a private entity, right, that's making money renting these cars, right? But now they have dedicated public parking spots,
Yeah.
right, where you can park the zip cars. So, and the same thing is going to happen with the electric cars as well, right? So there's no planning going on to accommodate any of this stuff, right? Like, and this is part of my issue with even that, right? I'm sorry to say, there's a lot of hydrants out there that probably don't work, probably
Right.
don't,
But what about your buses that park all over the streets at night?
Well, you're not supposed to park a commercial
Right.
vehicle
They
on
do
the
anyways,
post, yeah.
and they take up 3 spots. But you know what they do in Long Island? They make these big lots, and all the buses have to park here.
Yeah.
And that's it, and they stay off the streets. You're talking just Borough Park alone, we have about 4,000 missing spots. I have a solution if I'm councilman to take away the sanitation lot. But in every district in New York City, we should create lots
We need
of buses.
we need municipal lots as well,
Instead
too,
of the
right?
bikes on the street, make municipal lots.
We need municipal lots to accommodate all of these cars that frankly are being pushed out, right? And what are they doing?
Ticketing.
They're ticketing, but then they're parking in hydrants, right? That's because these cars have to go somewhere, right? So people are parking in hydrants. There's an emergency, a fire happens, they can't get to the hydrant, right? People die, right? So this lack of planning and incongruity with the reality on the street they're having real life consequences, right? People are actually being impacted by this and creating life and death scenarios. So I agree with you. I think we need more municipal lots, and we need to think about how we're accommodating all of these cars, right?
Yeah, it's getting crazy. What's your thoughts on all these camera lights, especially now they want to add another well, this was a proposal in the city council here and there, but they want, I'm sure, 650. No, that's the regular speed cameras and such. They want to add another 100, they want to add new double park cameras. 150 of those for a double, I guess.
Well, the buses have them.
No, the buses have them already.
Yeah,
right.
The buses have them.
So here's a helpful hint for those who are.
My mother out in her car because.
No, she have to make sure she has her calcium pills. Throw her out when the car is driving still. Hopefully she don't break the hip. Now, here's a helpful tip. Well, if you double park, you want to let someone out like a human being, and you have a hatchback with your license plate on it, press the button up and have your hatchback up so your license plate's up in the air so they can't see it when the bus passes by. Helpful hits, people.
If I could add one as well, right? They can't give you a ticket if you're making a right turn.
I think you have a blinker on.
Well, if you have
your blinker on and you got into the right lane, it goes off too bad.
So that's what I'm saying. Keep your right blinker on so that the AI. Well, I'm saying the AI for the camera will think you're making a right turn and won't fine you, right? Because
I didn't.
I don't know.
I'll try, but I'm still going to do the
something
hatchback.
to try.
I'm still going to do the hatchback where they can't see the license.
I mean,
Well, you get tickets for idling now.
Oh yeah, Billy. If you like Billy Idol. But look, they want to add 150 more cameras on top of that. On top of, why not lower the speed limit again? Sure. And then you have the electric bikes that go faster than anything.
Than the actual cars themselves.
And then you're turning the lane, you'll see, all right, good, I'm clear. And then 5 seconds later, the guy's attached to your window, like the Twilight Zone episode with William Shatner with the gremlin on the side with his face attached to your window and trying to get in. And you're like, there's a guy on my window. Look, at the end of the day, the city's insane, and we need to stop this insanity. Everywhere you go, there's camera lights. Oh, it's for the safety of the people. Bull crap. It's about money grab.
It's a money grab masquerading.
50% goes to the contract.
Right.
25% goes to the state. It's not fair.
It's a money grab masquerading as a safety device, right? And I this is something I have been talking about on my platform. I want to mandate that for each speeding camera that they actually have to hire a crossing guard, right? We actually lost, I think, about 30–40% of the crossing guards over COVID. They haven't come back. That's a good, solid, middle-class job that can be done.
The law says it's only made for parks and schools. These cameras are not made to.
They're not. They're not. They're
24/7.
putting them everywhere else. They're putting them everywhere else.
Yeah.
So it's a huge money. It's a money grab. I think we all recognize that. So if you attach it to something like you have to hire a crossing guard, right? That'll definitely slow it down as well, right? In terms of their ability to actually add new cameras. So that would be something that I plan to propose, right? If elected.
Any other questions?
Yeah, well, like we were talking before, what about these crazy scooters? What do you think about them? I think they should be
Getting
regulated.
The electric scooters.
I feel like we're in a third world country right now.
Well,
They should be regulated.
You can't do that.
Why?
Have licenses and
I mean, they don't obey the laws. They
registration.
go on freaking crosswalks and everything.
So I'll be honest. Like I am a cyclist, right? I road bike.
Right.
So I actually have I have a very particular view about them, right? Because I've actually gotten into an accident with an electric bike, right? That's actually probably one of the most dangerous accidents that I've been in, has been a bike-on-bike accident, right? Partly because the other bike is so much heavier and faster than my bike, right? Even as a road bike that I could do 20–25 miles an hour. And if you look at the models for, in Europe, right? Because the Democrats love to hype up all the, the Scandinavian countries and all of them as like this model for utopia. they actually have dedicated bike infrastructure, right? That actually takes the bikes, the scooters out of traffic and keeps them away from the cars, right? So if we, we want all of these things on our streets, then we need to make that type of an investment, right? Where we have dedicated routes and thoroughfares.
Not every street should have it.
Exactly, right?
You're right.
So
You can't go on every street. It's crazy because then you take away everybody.
exactly, right? And it's kind of bullshit. And it's bullshit because you have these painted bike lanes on the roads that gives the cyclist kind of like this false sense of security, right? That any car or bus can still come ram into you from behind, right? So it's not even fair for the cyclists themselves, right? And so the whole thing is crazy. We have all these nonsense bike lanes crisscrossing, the city that really don't do anything to protect the cyclists. So we need a whole rethink of the biking infrastructure, right, to the city. And I plan to take on the Democrats on that as well.
My thing is that, what happens if, I experienced in September, a guy destroyed the side of my car and my insurance covered it and I had to pay a fine. Thank God it was only $500 Who do I go after the sue for?
Right. Yeah, they don't.
I didn't plan to wake up that morning to get my car,
They should have insurance.
Yeah.
They're having these electric bikes, which goes faster than we're allowed as a car owner.
Yeah, well again, I think
I'm
the
not
issue
saying
is-
electric bikes.
Yeah.
Bicycles are bicycles.
But even a bicycle will throw your mirror off
No, of
too,
course,
right?
but the
That's
odds
happening.
are, yes, of course, but I'm saying the electric bikes, it's like the Wild Wild West now.
Yeah, the school.
They're going so fast, and most of them are working for delivery services or food services or Chinese food or whatever it is. So they're using it as a business type of, like a commercial vehicle in a sense, as opposed to a regular person riding their regular 10-speed bike going somewhere. So I believe those should be insured. Those electric bikes need to be insured because at the end of the day, I had my car hit also. They scuffed up the side of my bumper and he drives off, and I can't get him. They're gonna make a U-turn into traffic, you're trapped. So they make sure they hit your car and scuff it up and drive off the merry way. And so many times, all you have to do is get a camera and just sit at a light stand on the corner and you see how many times the bikes, they don't follow the laws. They go the wrong way and they're going right through the light all the time, no matter what. I'm sure there's that one person that stops, but 99 point whatever percent of the time, especially the electric bikes, they're the worst. And they're just zooming right through, and you have the green light and you can see them zoom right, like lucky I took a moment to pause myself for a second. Otherwise, this bike would have been in the side of my window of my door. People got to realize that this is so out of hand. The city council's doing nothing. The mayor's doing nothing about this. They might talk about it, but they do nothing. God forbid if a car owner hits someone, and it's like, oh my God, we killed a deity, and they steal more of the car owner's rights away. And vision zero, vision this, vision whatever. You can't see anything because you can't go. Pretty soon you're going to see an old man that's 90 years old jogging alongside your car going faster than you. Because that's what they want. They want to lower the speed limit to what, 20 miles per hour for overall? They want to do that next. They just constantly, because it's all about the Green New Deal. It's all about the war on the car owner, because we are an evil, with the gas and all that. And they want, and by 2035, everyone, you can't buy a brand new vehicle in New York State anyway, according to the.
But meanwhile, you see Kathy Hochul rolling around in a huge
Big
SUV
beast,
convoy, taking helicopters everywhere, right? So they want us
AOC
to strive
and
to
Bernie Sanders also. They're all
spot on. So they want us
Right.
to be green, right? While they can be brown and polluted and do what they want, right? But if I could get back to the original point about the bikes, right? It's a tough point, right? Because on one side, people should have a right to, be able to commute, right? And to commute in a means that's affordable to them, right? And a lot of these electric vehicles have given people more mobility, right? So you kind of have to balance that against a public safety, kind of concern that the overall community is also having, right? And part of the issue is that, again, you have all of these vehicles sharing the same space when they shouldn't be, right? You have all these electric vehicles, now you have a lot of these three-wheel kind of quasi vehicles that are popping up to do like deliveries.
Yeah. Looks like
That they kind of look like cars, but they're like little golf carts
Yeah,
almost,
yeah.
right? So that's also, and these golf carts are coming into bike lanes too, right? And potentially endangering